I'm going to find a spot to sit down and I'm going to share with you guys what we're up to this weekend. Good morning, it's Rachel here from Bushwalk Homesteading, Australia, and I've actually come and decided to come and sit in the greenhouse because it is really cold outside at the moment, but it's really nice just going for a bit of a wander around the garden on a weekend morning just before everything starts off and it all starts getting busy. I think it's like 1 degree outside, it's probably not much warmer than that in here. Yeah, today I thought I'd start with sharing a little bit about what we're up to this weekend because we have quite a few things going on, and I did find last time I did one of our shares sharing a day of just the bits and bobs that we get up to. That was something people seem to be quite interested in, so I thought, given again we've got quite a bit going on this weekend, it'd be a good one to share in with you guys all those things that we are up to. And there is quite a few things, so I did a vid where I shared a bit with you guys about how we do top-up shops and get some fruit and veg, and some of that was in bulk. So we got some bulk avocados, we got bulk capsicums, and bulk mushrooms as well. I need to process all of those up this weekend, so I've got a few different ideas on things that I want to have a go at doing with those. But the other thing that we're going to do today is, well, when I say we, it's actually just me, not the rest of the family. I'm going to a course on dahlia digging. So that is like a few hour course. I think it's going between 10 o'clock and 1 o'clock. And it's on a real life flower farm with Harvest Homestead. So I'm going to go and learn how to practically do the digging of the dahlias, even though, as you saw, I have just recently done our very first dig. So hopefully that's going to confirm that I didn't bugger anything up. But the other thing that I'm going to get out of that, which is probably the main thing I'm really interested in getting out of that, is how to split those dahlias. I really don't want to bugger them up in any way. So hopefully today I get a few new skills and learn how to split the ones that I have here. And as a little bit of a bonus on that course, you actually walk away with, I think it's 10 dahlia tubers. So I'm going to get 10 different ones. Hopefully there'll be some new colours and that'll add some new brightness in our garden in spring. Someone actually said to me, when you start doing dahlias, that they kind of just start breeding and all of a sudden you can get addicted and have heaps of dahlias. I think I might be slightly getting to that point now. I'm even starting to think, where am I actually going to put all of these this year? But anyway, we'll work that out together when it gets to that point of planting them. And yeah, I'll try and pull out the phone and film that in a future video when I go to do that. So the preserving, the dahlia digging, that's all on. I want to get into a lot of that today. While I'm doing that stuff, hubby is doing or starting to do the lambs. So you've probably seen we do raise lambs here. So we've got Wiltshire Horns. We have 2 that are from last year's and 1 that's a 2-year-old that are well and truly at the stage of processing now. So this weekend is actually also lamb processing weekend. Now, I know some people can get quite emotive about the idea of people that raise animals for eating. From my perspective, it's a really ethical way of having meat if you are a meat eater. Like, we know exactly how our animals have lived right up until their final moment, and even at that time, it's not the experience that animals go through when they end up at a supermarket. They're not getting loaded onto trucks, they're not ending up at an abattoir in a stressful situation. Like, it probably is the most ethical and kindest way to have meat if you are a meat eater, and obviously not everyone is. But what I'm going to do is I won't share anything of today and what he gets up to today, but tomorrow how we come together as a family and do the breakdown and packing. So what I'll do is I'll put that at the back end of this video because that's going to be tomorrow anyway. And if that is something you're a little bit interested in seeing, I'll put a little bit there. I'll keep it you know, really tight in terms of what we share and what we don't share, because I don't want, to be honest, I don't want any of the nasty comments, because even that last share that I did where we shared about the deer that we recovered, you know, and that was a deer that had had an accident on someone else's farm and had passed away, and we took it and broke it down, and that was interesting. Some comments about us, I don't know, can I say the K word on YouTube? But anyway, yeah, we didn't. So hopefully people don't get too grumpy about this share, but the reality is this is us, and you know, I did also have some comments about not sanitizing things too much like that. So yeah, there's obviously a balance in what people want to see and what people want to watch. I don't want anybody to see anything that they don't want to see, which is why I'll put it at the back end of this if it is something that you're interested in. But as I said, I'll keep it all very, very light anyway. I am going to just go for probably a little bit more of a wander outside, and then I'm going to go inside and I'm going to start the first task, which is dealing with the capsicums, because that's going to be the easiest one of them all. It'd be really nice just to get one struck off the list for this weekend. Now it is still early, so I'm going to need to be a little bit quiet because most of the family is still asleep, definitely all still in bed. But as I said, what I want to do is start off with these capsicums. So we've got this beautiful big bag of them, and all I'm going to do today is I'm going to chop those up and we're going to freeze them, which is the absolute quickest and easiest way I've found to deal with capsicums. But it's also a product that's really handy to have in the freezer because you can just pull some out, sprinkle it into, if you're doing like a spaghetti bolognese base or something like that, and it's already chopped, prepped and ready to go. And it does freeze up really well without blanching or anything like that. Beautiful big ones. Now, when it comes to chopping these, I see heaps of different ways that people chop capsicums. The way that I usually do it is I actually just kind of stab in and cut around the core. I find that tends to reduce the amount of waste. But I am going to test a couple of the other ways that I often see people doing it as well, because it does look like some are able to do them really quickly, the way they process. But yeah, so essentially I just cut around there, and then around, and then split. And then I can just pull out any of the middle bits. I don't really want them getting all seedy. And actually I should get my, which one? Shall I go worms, compost, biogas? Who gets this today? I think the worms are actually overflowing, so what I might do is use my biogas one. So let's put that there. And that way I can start to just put that straight in. It means I can also just bang that out straight in there. And I don't end up with so many seeds all over my bench. And from there, all I'm going to do is just kind of slice down the side. And the size that I'm doing here is just purely because this is the size of dice that I like. And then just go along here. And This is kind of the size of dice that I'm going for. But again, that's just purely because that's what we use in cooking. If you use bigger pieces, do bigger pieces, smaller, do smaller. Just make it right for you. And this is the cool thing about doing this sort of preserving at home. It's not like you're buying something from the shops and it comes in one way. You get to make it what you want. Another way that I see people actually put them up in freezers is also sometimes in the strips, just like that. And that's handy if that's how you have pieces in cooking. You know, if you're doing like Mexican foods and stuff like that, that's often a good shape for that sort of thing. But honestly, the sort of cooking that we do, it's mainly dice. So I'm going to dice all of this for us today. Now, bag-wise, I might need to use a couple of different ones. I did just have this one of my reusable bags empty up because I finished up one of my last of the beans. Definitely looking forward to that summer produce in the future. Starting to get a little low on a lot of things we put in the freezer. But yeah, I don't know that I'm actually going to fit everything in this one bag today, so I might need to just use a regular Ziploc bag as well. And if you don't have these sort of ones, just regular Ziploc is perfectly fine. Okay, so that was how I always chop the capsicums, but I am keen to just have a go at a couple of other methods. One of the other ones I've seen is where people just kind of go down the sides, but I kind of feel like I'm going to waste around the core if I do it like that. I don't know, maybe I'm just being stingy and not wanting to waste a piece or not having to go back. Yeah, see, I'm definitely getting more from around here. I mean, obviously I can go back and cut that off, but that takes more time. And still need to get the bits out from the middle, because I guess that was the other thing I was wondering. Is it quicker because you're not really having to dig out all the other bits of the core from the sides? But no, I don't think that's it. Honestly, I think I'm just going to stick to the way that I always do it. If you pack it too tight, you're not going to be able to squish it around a bit when it goes in the freezer as it's freezing. And the risk with that is it's going to freeze as one big block. So I did just grab a little sandwich bag out. I am going to take some of this out, pop it in here. This will probably be the first bit that we end up using. And that way, a little later, as this starts to freeze, I'll kind of show you it can start clumping and how I move it around just so that that doesn't happen. Because the last thing you want is at a later time when you go to use your capsicum and it's just like this big massive block of capsicum and you either have to defrost it all, which you don't want to do. You want to be using this over time. Or, yeah, you just end up not using it because it's too hard. So, yeah, we will do that with all of these a little bit later. We're going to call that first job of the weekend done. I'm just going to pop those in the freezer and grab a coffee, and then I'm going to go and hang out with hubby for a little bit. Normally we just lay in bed of a weekend in the morning for a little bit, drink a coffee, watch a little bit of YouTube, and then I'm probably going to need to get up, shower, and start thinking about heading off to the Dahlia dig course. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to grab any footage or anything there. I'll have a bit of a chat with Azalea who runs it. And if I can, I'll sneak in a few little shots of what I get up to there.
That's an eye, that's an eye, this is an eye, that's an eye. Can you see? Often it's hollow. You can use the middle of the stem. You want to try and keep a tuber, definitely the neck, definitely the crown, because that's where the eyes come from, and ideally a part of the stem as well. Sorry, you can look it up. You're very welcome. Oh, yeah, fun learning day. Oh no.
I just got home and that was so much fun, and I've learnt so much today. That session with Azalea, she went through so many things. She went through how to dig up the dahlias. She talked about all the different ways of propagating. So I learnt a lot about propagating with seeds, propagating from the tubers, which, you know, we obviously went into a bit of detail on in the sesh today. What else did we learn? Oh, cuttings as well. I hadn't actually really known much about how to propagate from cuttings, so that was really cool to hear about that. We had a lot of hands-on experience, so we actually got to dig some out of the beds. We were able to divide a whole bunch of dahlias. Like, there was still some in the box. We could have kept practicing. She did show us how to find the eyes. I don't know, I was really struggling a little bit with finding the eyes, if I'm completely honest. When she's pointing them out, like, I can see them really well, but particularly at this time of the year, they're not particularly visible on the tubers. So I am thinking of taking up her advice, which is just to wait until spring and we'll actually see things like sprouting, essentially. So yeah, that's some advice I will be taking. But one thing that did come up today is pests. She was having some issues with rabbits that she was talking about, and someone else said that they were having issues with rats and their tubers. And I have put our tubers underneath the house. I moved them out of the greenhouse, which was that spot that I put them in when we did the digging together. I got a bit worried they were going to get mouldy, and it seems like that was actually a good call from today, but I put them under the house, and now I'm worried, because I haven't checked them at all, that maybe rodency type things could be getting to them. So I'm going to go downstairs and have a check. So this here is the spot that I put them under the house, and that's them in there. Now, she did also show the storage that she was also putting things in pots and trays, but putting a lot of sawdust around. So I don't know if I'm going to bother now, because it's actually not too far off planting them out. I'm thinking, what would it be? Only a month away. Yeah, I might just leave them as is for now, because they actually seem to be okay. But yeah, I definitely was worried for a second there when they were talking about the fact that being edible, things eat theirs. But yeah, I don't think we've got any problems like that, so phew, feeling good about that. And the other thing that's really cool is we got a bit of a goodie bag. There was seven varieties already in the bag, but we also had a choice of 3 that were all kind of laid out on the table, and there was different choices so they could choose colours and not double up with things that you already had. And yeah, now I've got a whole bunch of new dahlias to plant out in the spring as well. Look how beautiful today has ended up. Once that fog burnt off, it's just become absolutely stunning. Alrighty, my eldest is going to give me a bit of a hand.
I'm not the eldest.
Oh shoot, I know who you are. You're the youngest.
She doesn't know her children.
Oh gosh. Anyway, he's going to give me a hand. I'm probably getting a bit frantic now, because honestly, it's getting a little late in the day. And I am worried there's still a bit of stuff that we need to do outside just to help hubby out. I really do want to get the mushrooms in. So with the mushrooms, the plan is to dehydrate these. And to be honest, I should have got these going this morning, but I ran out of time, if I'm completely honest. So what we need to do is we need to cut these up. The quickest way to do this is to use the gizmo that's behind my youngest here, not eldest, hey. And this is a KitchenAid attachment. In fact, let me drag it over a little bit so you can see it better. And this is like one of my favorite things. It's got this cutting blade in it. You basically just stick stuff in and it's going to spit out the cut slices for us, and that's going to allow us to put it here on these dehydrated trays, and they're going to go straight into the Excalibur. So we're going to use the Excalibur dehydrator, which is that one there today. If that gets really full and I've still got lots of mushrooms to do, I might pull out my other dehydrator, which is the Easy Dry. Both are going to do as good a job. They're both excellent dehydrators. The only reason I'm doing this one is it's bigger. This is the 9 tray one. And I'm hoping I can get away with just one, because obviously it saves power if you can just run one over running 2. Gosh, I'm stumbling all over the place, aren't I now?
Yeah.
That's what happens when I start to go quick. Yeah, so we'll see how we go, if we can get away with just one. But yeah, that is going to make it an awful lot quicker. There is some other really cool attachments for this too. There's like a grater bit that goes in it and stuff. In fact, if you haven't seen these, this is a very old one that I've had for many, many years now. That's the one that I'm using. So you can see how it's got the different graters. This is what we use when we do the grated zucchini and stuff too. But what we're going to use today is the slicing attachment, which is this one here. I'm sure boxes look a little bit more modern than that these days, but yeah, I think they've still got one that's pretty much the same. All right, I'm thinking we're going to need to clean these, because I know you're not supposed to wash mushrooms, but if you have a little bit of a look, they've all got bits of kind of mushroom compost and stuff on it. So do you want to start putting some of those in there and give it a wash, and then we'll start popping them through here. And if you want to, do you want to do the cutting, or do you want to be putting them on the trays today?
I'll do the cutting.
You want me to do the tray bit?
Yeah.
Alrighty, cool bananas. So if you do the wash, the cutting, I'll start laying them on here and we'll get them going.
This feels so weird.
Why, what's wrong?
It's like super soft, like it's like softer than what I've ever felt before there.
Yeah.
Take a feel, like it's...
That's just the gills.
Feels really soft.
Alright, I'll give you a hand.
Oh.
Alrighty, so with that one, probably put it on speed, maybe 2. And then if you want to start processing those, kick it off.
It's spinning.
So don't forget you've got to use this one too, but you can put in a few at the same time, okay? Oh, these are going to be too fine. I haven't actually used this one for mushrooms before, and I'm not sure how we're going to go. This might work for the powder, but not the slices. Normally does really well with other veggies, but I think maybe these are just so soft. Actually, do you want to turn that off? And we'll use a spoon just to get some of that out. Jamming up in there a bit.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, there's quite a lot.
Are you ready?
Yep, all good.
It goes in like this, and it comes out like that.
Load number 2. And some of these ones at the top are actually looking really good still, so I'm going to pop some of those in the fridge, and that way we've got some mushrooms just for general eating as well. So giving them all out of paper bags, I'm just going to pop the ones for the fridge in this Pyrex. But I am choosing the ones that look absolutely the best out of all of them. Hopefully that way they last a while in the fridge. Okay, are you ready for the next one?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to give them a wash over here?
Sure.
And I'll keep loading these ones to the fridge. it?
Yeah.
I think though, because it is so fine, we'll be able to put all of that on the trays that we've got in that one dehydrator. I'm actually having a thought that it would actually be really cool to have some slices as well. So what I might even do is just hand slice the ones that are left, and that way we can have a go at doing some slices as well, because the slices are better when you've got dehydrated slices for soups and stews and things like that as well, like particularly like ramen and stuff. That there is more just going to be something that's going to be a powder that we can use when we're doing bases, just to really enhance the flavour, just add a bit of extra nutrition to it as well. Alright, so I'll wash those, but then I'm going to slice them, okay?
Okay.
Actually, before I start hand slicing, what I might do is see how much of these trays this takes up, because we might even end up hand slicing some of that as well. So if you just want to give me a quick sec, I'm going to start putting that on here. I don't want to go too thick. But I also want to make the most of the dehydrator as well. Actually, Goose, can you do me a favour? While you're in the lounge, there's, you know, the dehydrator book, the Excalibur one.
Yeah.
It's on the bookshelf. Are you able to have a bit of a look and find mushroom dehydrating temperature?
Alright.
Thanks, hun. Another reason not to go too thick with these ones is the Excalibur does only have really narrow openings between each tray. So you can't actually overload it too much. Did you find it? That's the one. Do you want to look up mushrooms?
Okay. In mushrooms, there's like all the different versions, like that in the index and soup, temp, turnovers.
Probably temp time, if you go to page 57. There we go. So what are we looking for here?
Mushrooms right there.
Yep. So can you see what temperature we need?
Yep. 125 Fahrenheit or 52 Celsius.
Beautiful. I reckon you can actually do the rest of those through here, because this is not getting too full too quick. This looks like that mushroom stuff you put on pizza when it's so ground up like this. Alright, I'm thinking that one that you're doing right now, if you just finish that one, the rest of it, what we'll do is we'll slice those up and we'll do them as slices. So that's going to end up giving us 6 trays. And I'm going to fill those last 3 with the slices. What you to do, when I cut these, are you able just to lay them out on here for us?
Yeah, sure.
Thanks, honey.
Because I sort of stack these in rows or columns.
Yours looks beautiful compared to mine.
You're just chucking them in and praying it works.
Pretty much. You want to pop this one in for me too, hun? And then lucky last. Alright, you want the pleasure of putting the last one in?
Yep. Slide it in slowly for the cinematic action. 10 out of 10.
Good job. Thanks, honey. Oh, mushroom everywhere. Helps if I turn it on. With this one, there is a little switch at the back, so that's got to go on as well. And what was the temp again?
Let me check. Do you want it in degrees or Celsius?
Absolutely, degrees Celsius.
Alright, 52. 52.
Awesome. In terms of time, because these things do have time as well, I always put it for some really, really far time in the future because I always completely ignore the times in there. Out of curiosity, what does it say time-wise? So in this one, it's this spot here. So it does have, will it focus, different times for different humidities. It does look like it's one of the shorter time ones, so we'll keep a bit of an eye on that. Thank you for the light. But yeah, as I've said many, many times before, when it comes to time for dehydrating, the reality is it is ready when it's ready. So we're just going to keep checking it. And yeah, when it feels right, that's when we're going to pull it. Helps if I push the start button, doesn't it? There we go. Thanks, Happy. You going to go hang out there? No. Catch you later.
Catch you later.
Now that's running, I'm going to do something that is a little bit more experimental. I've got the bananas sitting on our avocados because I was trying to ripen them up a little bit quicker. And the idea is I'm going to try and preserve up these avocados as a bit of an avocado spread. So hubby has been using a fair bit of this stuff lately, and my eldest has decided he likes it as well. So we're going through quite a bit of it. And it's not an inexpensive thing to buy. And it also goes brown, even in here, fairly quickly. So I was wondering if I could make something like this myself. And looking at the ingredients, it's just largely avocado. But also there's some lemon juice concentrate, a bit of salt, and then there's things like flaxseed fibre, antioxidant and acidity regulator, which is probably just to bump up the acidity a bit, probably, to avoid it going brown like that. But I'm thinking I could probably do something quite similar to that with just using these avocados and also some of the limes out of our garden. There's not so many limes on the tree at the moment because it is getting very, very much towards the end of the season. They're all well and truly yellow. But yes, they are limes. They're not lemons, despite the fact they are yellow. They're just really super ripe. We've had heaps and heaps of frosts and that's the colour they go. Don't think I'm going to need a huge amount, so there should still be well and truly enough on the tree. If I actually look around, there's quite a few still on here. They're just very sparse compared to what they were like. So yeah, I'm just going to grab a few of those and we'll take them inside. I did just grab half a dozen of these because this is purely going to be experimental. I've never done this one before. In fact, I've never even frozen avocados before, but I was seeing on the Aussie Homesteaders group a lot of people saying that they freeze avocados and get good success. So I was thinking this should work if they're getting good success like that. And as you know, I love a good experiment, so until you give something a crack, sometimes you never really know. Now, the reason I only got 6 is because I'm thinking I don't want this to be too, I don't know, too limey. Like, I'm not making guacamole. I am just doing avocado, but I do think the acidity that's going to come from here is going to just give a nice bump of flavour, but the other thing it's going to do is just stop it from browning. Or at least prevent it from browning a little bit. I don't think anything's going to fully stop it, especially after seeing how it goes brown in those tubes. Now with these, get rid of that water. All I'm going to do is just squeeze them straight in here. I'm not even going to bother getting out the citrus juicer today. They're really, really beautiful and juicy at the moment. I'll just come through at the end and I'll grab out any of the little seeds that I've dropped in there along the way. Now when you squeeze by hand like this, you obviously don't get as much out as if I had to use a proper citrus juicer, but it's plenty enough juice that I'm seeing in here for this. And it's just going to be so much quicker. And I think I only had, was there another seed? No, I think there was just the one. With those limes juiced, I'm going to grab the avocados. Now, I'm not convinced I'm going to be able to do all of these today because I was feeling a couple of these earlier, like that one there, and that's still really firm. So I'm going to pop that one to the side. That one is probably somewhere in the middle. Yeah, definitely that one, They're nice and soft. Definitely that one. Well, that one's very hard. It's quite soft. Alright, that one's soft enough. Yeah, what I might do is just leave those ones for eating. And these are the ones we're going to preserve. So next, all I'm going to do is cut those in half. I love it when the stone comes out like that. It makes life so much easier. And I'm just going to grab a spoon. And I'm going to use a spoon, maybe not that shape. One like that, just to scoop them out. Whoop. Oh, there we go. It's bound to be a whoop today. That's just going to go straight in there. Don't want to miss any. But do watch out for that little bit there, because it's obviously a little bit woody. It's not going to be delicious. Texture on these is really good. This is probably the perfect level of ripeness. I haven't started going really soft and brown or anything like that, but they are still nice and soft, so I think that's going to turn into a really nice avocado paste or spread, or in fact I'm not even sure exactly what we're going to call this. I'm just going to keep on doing this. I think you're going to get a bit bored if you keep watching me do all of them, and I'm sure you get the idea. Now, as I work through the last one, you might be wondering where all the boys are. They are all outside still working on the sheep. So yes, the boys are out there helping as well. They don't get involved in the dispatch bit, but they are out there helping. And I guess one of the things to recognise is that might seem a bit confronting to some people, but our kids have lived on this property their whole lives. You know, they've known where meat comes from their whole lives. And I'm actually pretty proud that they have that understanding and they really do appreciate the meat that we eat here. You know, we've got a bit of a saying in our house, which is like, respect the meat. They don't throw it away like I see a lot of people throw away extra when they serve too much. And that's just purely because they understand where meat comes from. Okay, so back on these avocados, that is our last one, woohoo! And one of the things I was doing along the way was I was just turning this over in that lime juice, and that was just so that they weren't oxidizing. So you can see they're still beautiful and green. And now what I need to do is turn that into a paste. Now, I've got crappy wrists, so I know you could probably mash this and turn it into a paste. That is not what I'm going to do. I'm going to grab out my immersion blender and we're going to use that to turn this into a really nice, smooth avocado spread slash paste, or whatever we're calling it. So that's the immersion blender I use. Had this one for years and years. Kenwood K-Mix. This thing is awesome. And yeah, it just makes life easy when you want to blend things up, but keep it in the bowl, and it just minimizes like having to transfer things into blenders and food processors. So when I'm doing soups or applesauce or anything I want to make smooth, I can just puree that up in the pot, and it really, really does make life so much easier. Actually, I'm thinking I'll add a bit of salt in this as well. Where are we? Salt. Where's my salt? I know you can add salt later, but this will just kind of infuse it all the way through that spread. actually going to grab a spoon, have a little taste. Get another one. Let's go with that one. So there's the texture. Mmm. Oh, that is really good. However, I will say at that ratio, the lime is very prominent. I think if I had have done all the avocados, that would have been all right. But there is a definite hit of lime. I actually really like it. I think hubby's gonna like it because he really likes lime flavour too. But it does get to a point where it's starting to mask the flavour of the avocado a little bit. So I think if you really wanted the avocado more prominent, you'd probably just kick back that lime just a little bit. But jeepers, for a first time, I reckon that's pretty good. Now, the next thing is going to be storage of this, because I don't really want to just have it in one big lot. One thing hubby suggested is maybe like ice cube or silicone containers like we use when we do like the lime juice and the eggs and stuff like that. And that way he said you could pop them out, defrost them, and you just kind of use them one by one. So I think I'm going to try some like that. The other thing is I kind of like that tube idea that they have with the one that you buy. But I don't really have any tube sort of things like that to use. I think you can buy some, but yeah, I don't own any. And I'm wondering if I did a similar thing with just using a Ziploc bag and you kind of cut off one corner when you go to use it, if you squirt it out that way. Kind of like when you do a cheats icing bag when you're doing a cake making. So what we might do is actually have a go at doing that both ways. So these are the different things that we're going to use for the storage of the avocado. Again, this is all pretty experimental. These ones here are the silicone molds. So all I'm going to do is just put the avocados straight in those. Even that's going to be a bit interesting because it is a beautiful thick texture. Just have to scoop it in. And then once these are filled, that will sit in one of these bags. And that'll go like that into the freezer. And you can just pop one out each time he wants to use one. In fact, when they're frozen, I can pop them out at that stage anyway and just have them loose in one of these bags. Reality is at this time of the year, I don't really need these silicone molds too often, but definitely during preserving season, these get a really good workout. So I just put things in it to freeze. And then once it's frozen, they get popped out so that I can start preserving other things in them. It's a beautiful texture. So there's our first one, and just open that up. I might just do that. And slide that into freeze. This is where I become a human vacuum sealer. I want to try and get rid of as much air as possible. Surely I'm not the only one that does that. Alright, so that's the first one. Actually, you probably also noticed I wrote the name on here before I put this in because it's just difficult sometimes writing on the bags once they've got stuff in there. So I'm going to do the same with this one. But I'll do that in a minute. You don't need to watch me fill every single one of these. This one here is just a smaller Ziploc bag though. It's going to use the little holder. And that way I don't need 3 hands all at once. And we'll just get some of this in this one as well. Still getting it everywhere anyway. I reckon that's enough for that one. Case test again. And again, I'm going to want to get all the air out of that. We won't do the human vacuum sealer with that one, it's a little easier when you've got the Ziploc bags like this with just the creamy stuff in it as opposed to the container as well. And yeah, that will just go straight in the freezer like that. Nice. All right, I'm just going to fill the rest of those now. Now with this last one here, I don't want to waste any of this, so I've got the spatula out now as well. It means I can scrape it all out of the bowl a little bit better. Quite a big one now that I can see how much has come off the sides. So I am kind of hoping that it doesn't brown too quickly when it does come out of the freezer, but that is going to be part of what we'll learn as we use this. People are saying their avocados defrost well, so I have hope. That there is the last one done. So all up we got 2 lots in the silicone, so that's essentially 12 different portions, and then we've got these ones here that will pop into the fridge. The idea is to cut off the corner, squeeze out bits as we need it. Now whether that works or not, I'm not quite sure, but I reckon it's well worth a crack. So I'm going to pop those in the freezer, clean up a little bit, and then I'm going to head outside with the rest of the family. That's pretty much it for pulling out the camera for today, but as I said, tomorrow I will pull it out when we set up the kitchen here, and I'll show you how we do pack up our lamb when we have our lamb processing weekend. So if you are interested in that, stick around, but if you're only interested in this sort of stuff, I'll see you on the next one. Bye. Morning, it's super early, so I'm just gonna turn this off and check this with you. Haven't had a bit of a peek yet, but with the mushrooms, I'm guessing when we have a bit of a look, there's not going to be an awful lot left in here because they do dehydrate down a fair bit. There we go. I do just want to check the texture on those. Quite crispy, which is exactly what I was going for. I do need to take these a fair bit, you know, in terms of the dehydrating. With the slices, you don't have to go quite as far. Of course, you always need to make sure things are absolutely completely dry. But a bit of rubberiness, they say, is okay. But these are actually quite crisp as well because I've left them overnight. Alrighty. Yeah, they're well and truly done. So all I'm going to do is let those all cool down. Once they are cooled down, I'm going to pull these out, turn them into a powder, and yeah, then we'll get into the sheep side of the day as soon as hubby and the boys are all awake. Actually, while I'm making my cuppa there, I should show you this as well. So this one here, that's our minimum temperature at the moment. So it's 2.2 degrees outside. I hit that min max button. You can see last night it got down to 1.8. Now, we do often get asked the question on whether we have like a cool room or anything like that we hang the lambs in outside. Well, the answer is no. We actually use the barn and we use meat bags as well to hang them, and hubby's got the hook in there. But what we always do is we choose a night like last night, And that way it's pretty much like a cool room, like a fridge outside anyway. It allows us to hang them for the night, but it does just mean that things are still really cool out there. I might just wait a little bit before pushing the button on that blender, because I think if I start that up at this time on a Sunday morning, I might just be pushing the love a little bit with the family. All right, hubby's up now, so I figure if the coffee machine can make sound, I can push the button on this one. Hopefully I don't annoy the kids out. I reckon that'll do. You're chuckling. You think I'm going to annoy the kids, right? Mm-hmm. It's all right. It's getting late enough now. I'll call that the alarm. As you're probably noticing, all these mushrooms are dehydrating down to not very much, especially when you do it as powder. Which means I do want to get every single bit out. That's actually one of the reasons I'm not using the big blender as well, because you just lose too much on the sides. Gosh, that smells nice. Hubby's been joking that it smells like mushroom soup through our house since yesterday. This is the bit where it's kind of like when you watch those shows where they're getting gold and you want to get every single little scrap off the side. Don't want to lose a flake. All right. Bring you over here a bit. Oops. We've got a bit of better light. And that there is what the mushroom powder looks like. And that's how much we got. So that there, that's a 1/2 pint jar. And it's probably filled up, you know, maybe 3/4. Nice. I thought I'd line all of these up just so you can see exactly how much we ended up with off that one big box of mushrooms. So that's our mushroom powder. And obviously that's dehydrated down to a very small volume. So if you were in a space where you didn't have a lot of space for storage, that is a really good option because it absolutely packs a punch. Great way for hiding. I'm saying this quietly because I think the kids are stirring, but great way for hiding mushroom in dishes where they don't like the texture of mushroom, but you want the flavour. The next one is the mushroom chips. So this I hadn't actually planned on doing. I was just going to do the slices and the powder, but once I started kind of putting this in the bowl and saw the texture, I was thinking that's actually not too bad for some of the stews as well. And even when you're doing some of the pastas, just to have those finer bits of mushroom ready to go. So I did decide to reserve a jar of that too. And then we've got over here our mushroom slices. So those ones there you can kind of put in a bowl and rehydrate, or again just throw them into cooks where they'll absorb the moisture. They are a little bit more chewy when you have them from the dehydrated as opposed to fresh, but yeah, they're really handy to have just on hand in the cupboard. Now we did keep some for fresh eating as well, so I did want to just show you these two, just so you don't think that's everything that we ended up with off the box. We did end up with this nice big lot here as well that we've got in the fridge, and I think hubby's actually got a bit of breakfast planned for some of these today. I think he's going to do like a garlicky, mushroomy breakfast, so that should be yummy. But we have had just a few for fresh eating along the way too. But yeah, definitely when you dehydrate mushrooms, they end up being quite a small volume. There's an awful lot of water to them, but the flavour really does pack a punch, so it is worthwhile. Bit of a change of plans. A friend of mine actually gave me a call just before because she and her son are going for a wander at the 1,000 Steps, which is a bit of a walking area in the Dandenong Ranges National Park. Beautiful, beautiful area. Also massive steps and stuff, so really good exercise too. So my youngest and I, we're actually going to go for a bit of a walk before we start the sheep today. We are home. Hi! You've been busy?
Yep. Get there. This is the small lamb. So we had 2 lambs this year. Did you explain that?
No, I haven't.
Right, we had 2 lambs this year. What we did is last year we let one grow, and there's also different breeding stock here. So the 2-year-old one was from an adult, like a full-size sheep, and this one is actually the mum. It was originally from a runt, which got given to us and we accepted. And
yeah, because they were hand raised, so they were kind of
hand
petsy.
raised, and so they actually bred small lambs as well. I can figure. So this is the small one, which is a 12-month-old lamb, whereas the bigger one is a 2-year-old sheep. Huge difference in size and fat. So yeah, I've started the small one to start off with because I haven't done this for a while. So this is the one that I'm trying out. At the moment I'm taking down this bit so we can have neck steaks or a stew off the neck. Already done the shanks. Got cleaning it up. The shoulder blades. We use the shoulder blades for things like slow cooking them and then pulling the meat and then using them in tacos and things like that. The rear legs, so I'll slice them down the middle, break them down a bit. Got the trusty old bone saw, so that going to do a slice through, which is always fun.
We did use the reciprocal saw a couple of years.
Yes.
You're not using that this year?
I have got it out. And I have already used it to take the legs off.
Okay.
So I have used it already. I've got the bone saw this year, even though the blade on it is a beef saw. I couldn't get a lamb saw, it's a beef blade. That is so that we can do, I want to try that for that.
Okay.
So
Might be a little bit cleaner because I know, like with the reciprocal saw, you did try to use that on the ribs and we ended up with the little bits of bone, remember? But it was really good for the backbone, like down the middle. All right, well, oh, actually, hang on a second. Let me show you the other one. So that's obviously the size of number one. But this one here, so it's still in the meat bag. So it was hanging in the bag outside. That there is number two, and that's the one that was 2 years old. And wow, that is so much bigger and so much more fat on that as well. So I actually think with the Wiltshire horns, it is actually not a bad idea to let them go that extra year. Yeah, that's just what I'm thinking. So we were actually going to do 3. We ended up doing 2. The one female that's over there will carry over to next year.
yeah, because that female that we were going to do yesterday, she actually came from, she was a twin from the rump. And so she's actually quite small anyway, so we wouldn't mind seeing what she'd be like next year.
Yeah.
Like, even if she just gets a bit more fat on it. Like this one's very lean.
Yeah, there's a huge difference in the fat.
Yeah, so this one's very lean. It's like, it has been a lean year for winter feed, but I've been feeding them. So compared to the fat that's on that one to this one, huge difference.
What do you reckon the weights were?
I reckon that one's over 30 kilos.
Yeah, and this one here.
I reckon this one would be under 15.
Yeah, that's a huge difference. Alrighty, I'm gonna pop this down. I'm gonna pull out the vacuum sealer so that I can start sealing things as soon as you're ready.
Yeah, cool.
And yeah, we'll just come back and show everyone what we end up with. And I'll grab a couple of clips along the way as well.
I'm going to work out what we want to do with this top bit. We'll come back to that. So I'll chop this up into pieces.
Look at me mid dice.
Yeah, nice.
So that's the first one done.
Yep.
Just doing a bit of a clean down. I just want to show this as well. So in terms of waste, we really do try not to waste anything. That little bowl there is pretty much everything so far that's waste. Yeah, that's probably a better word for it, isn't it? Over here, these are the bone bits that we're not leaving attached to any of the meat that's gone in the freezer. Because hubby did bone out a few things like the shoulder and the like, which we've done as dice. There's also a bit of mince that's going to happen. And then we've got a couple of bits here. There's, I think there's 2. There's a couple of bones that we've just set aside. They'll go in a bag into the freezer and they'll be treats for coops. But yeah, very, very little waste. It's a bit heavier.
Yeah, it's a lot heavier.
Definitely a lot more fat than we expected. We'll need another pot. We've ended up with so much lamb fat that I've had to bring it all outside in one of our cast iron pots. That's going to take a long time to render down. There'll be more time than we have with the biogas, so what I'll probably end up doing a little later today when we start the fire inside, I'll just transfer the pot and just continue letting that cook down really slowly so I can get all that lovely lamb fat. This is just another one of those things that you can do when you process your own animals. It's not something you see too often, lamb fat, but yeah, we definitely don't want to waste anything off the animals that we raise, and this is another way that you can make the most of everything. That's now all the bones that we had, and that's going to go in the oven to brown, and then we're going to turn that into some lamb stock. We're going to call that a wrap for this weekend. Kitchen is all clean, sanitised everything back down again, and there's a few things I have to dry, including the vacuum sealer behind me here. I actually take the seals out when you do a clean after something like this, because you can actually clean right in there, and maybe that's why our one did last as long as it has. Now obviously we've still got the lamb fat rendering away, and also in the oven here I still have those bones roasting away to make stock. But I've showed you guys in other videos in the past making tallow and also doing stock, so if you want to check out that sort of thing, I'll let you check out those separate videos, because I suspect this one is already getting pretty long. Alright, thanks a bunch for joining as always, and catch you later.